For the past few years, the whole conversation around AI has been about what it can create, images, text, music. But there's a new shift happening, and it's moving AI from the drawing board out into the real world. We're stepping into the era of AI that doesn't just generate things, it acts. And this isn't just some small update, it's a huge evolution in what AI can actually do for us. So let's break it down. At its core, the difference is really simple, but it's also incredibly profound. So on one side, you've got generative AI, which is all about creating new content. You give it a prompt, it makes something. Easy enough. But on the other side, we have agentic AI, and this is all about action. You give it a goal, and it goes out into the world and gets it done. This isn't just a bigger, smarter language model, it's a completely different kind of intelligence. So what exactly is an AI agent? It's way more than just a chatbot with a fancy new name. We are seeing a major shift in the paradigm here. AI is going from being this passive tool that just sits there waiting for our commands to a proactive partner that can actually take initiative on its own. And the formal definition really gets to the heart of it. The key phrase here, the one you really need to remember, is limited human supervision. See, this isn't about giving an AI a long to-do list. No, it's about giving it a destination and then trusting it to figure out the best way to get there. It understands the what, and then it figures out the how, all by itself, breaking down goals, picking the right tools, and executing a whole plan from start to finish. Okay, let's make this real with an example. Let's say you give an agent a goal. Plan me a 3-day trip to Chicago for under $1,500. Now, a simple chatbot might just give you a few suggestions, but an agent acts. The first thing it does is decompose that goal. It knows it needs flights, a hotel, and some activities. Then it starts querying real-time sources for the best prices. It'll compare all the options, go ahead and book the reservations, and even generate a full itinerary for you. Only then does it circle back to you for the final thumbs up. It's handling the whole thing end to end. This comparison really lays it all out. If you look at their primary function, generative AI is about making stuff, while agentic AI is about getting stuff done. With generative models, you have to constantly prompt them for every little step. But with agentic ones, you just need minimal supervision. And maybe the biggest deal of all is the workflow. It shifts from this single-turn interaction, one prompt, one response, to a complete end-to-end orchestration of a really complex task. Okay, so how can a system actually do all of this? What's really going on under the hood that lets an AI plan and reason and act in the world? Let's take a look inside the agent's mind. At a high level, an agent's mind is built on 4 core components. You can think of these as the fundamental building blocks that allow it to operate autonomously: perception, memory, planning, and execution. Each one plays an absolutely critical role. So, first up is perception. This is basically how the agent sees the world. And it's not about having eyes, but about taking in data from any source it can connect to. That could be text from you, data from sensors, or information from an API. It then uses all that data to build an internal model, or you could say an understanding of what's going on around it. Next up, you've got memory, which is absolutely crucial for the agent's ability to learn and adapt. It really has 2 parts. Short-term memory is for holding the context of the current task, kind of like a sticky note on your computer monitor. But then there's long-term memory, which is like a library of all its past experiences. This lets the agent remember what worked, what didn't, and get better over time. Then we get to the planning and reasoning module. And this is the real strategic core, the brain of the whole operation. This is what takes that high-level goal you gave it and breaks it down into a sequence of smaller, actionable steps. It thinks through different paths forward and decides on the most logical thing to do next. This is where the strategy happens. And finally, we have execution. Once the agent has a plan, it has to be able to carry it out, right? This is where thought becomes action. It could mean calling an API to book that flight, or running a piece of code, or, in robotics, controlling physical parts. This is the agent's hands, letting it actually interact with and change the world around it. Now, this all sounds pretty amazing in theory, but where is it actually being used? Let's switch gears from the techie stuff and see where agentic AI is already having a real-world impact. Because this isn't science fiction anymore. It's happening right now. The scale of this whole shift is just staggering. Analysts are projecting the market for AI agents to hit over $52 billion by 2030. And a number like that isn't just hype, that's a real demand. It tells us that businesses are betting big on AI that can actually do things. So where's that money going? Well, a huge area is software development. Agents are being built that can manage entire release cycles. Just imagine giving a single prompt, like add a dark mode feature, and that kicks off an agent that plans, writes, tests, and deploys all the code. This could completely change how fast and how big we can build software. Over in finance and banking, agents are being put to work to automate some incredibly complex jobs. They can build financial models, analyze huge amounts of market data for risk, monitor transactions in real time to spot fraud, and even create these super personalized banking experiences for customers. This tech is even making its way into really high-stakes fields like healthcare. But in this area, the conversation is a bit different. The main focus isn't just on raw capability, it's on creating frameworks that are compliant, ethical, and trustworthy right from the start. That's what will allow agents to help with things like clinical decision support or managing complex hospital processes, all with verifiable safety. The potential here is obviously enormous, but building this autonomous future, well, it's not without its challenges. There's still some pretty significant hurdles we need to clear to get these systems out there responsibly and effectively at a large scale. But getting there means we have to solve some major problems, like how do you get multiple agents to work together on a complex task without creating total chaos? That is a huge computational puzzle. How do you build in ethical guardrails and clear governance for systems that act on their own? Performance and reliability have to be nearly perfect, and critically, how do we design these powerful systems so that there's always a way for a human to have meaningful oversight? These are the big questions that researchers are wrestling with right now. Ultimately, this all points to a fundamental change in our relationship with technology, and this quote really captures it perfectly. These advances move AI from just being reactive assistants to becoming proactive collaborators. And that leaves us with a pretty profound question to think about. As these systems get more and more capable and autonomous, are we just building better tools? Or are we, for the very first time, actually building our future colleagues? Something to chew on.